So welcome to the fourth video of the tourism sector video series, and for this specific video, we'll talk about events management. So as we have discussed in earlier videos, one of the types of attractions that visitors are attracted to, that's why they go to a certain destination, are events. And in tourism, it's really very important for us to effectively manage and implement these events in order to strengthen the economic gains that we can get from the tourism inflow in a given destination because of a certain event. So how do we define events management? So it's defined as the application of project management to the creation and development of small and large-scale personal and corporate events. Actually, events management is a science in itself. And events management is a very lucrative profession. Of course, not today, not during this time when there's COVID-19 and a lot of events have been canceled. But in the normal scale of things, there are a lot of opportunities for events managers because everywhere you go, there are a lot of events happening. And there is a demand for these events to be managed properly, and that the organizers of these events wants these events to be outsourced to a specific events manager, so that hindi niya naiisipin kung paano pa aandarin ang event niya. And as explained in this definition, they use the project management model, wherein they basically assign people, they manage the resources, they manage the time, they manage the budget in order to assure that the event is applied and implemented perfectly, and that it is able to elicit the goals that it wants, and of course to be able to reach the event's goals. So there are different types of events that can, invite tourists in a given destination. Of course, we have business and corporate events. Ngayon, ang mga educational at mga business events, meron na siyang kasamang tourism na component, no? For example, in the last day of the business event, like for example, a conference, usually the last day is a leisure tourism day wherein they get to be toured around the area where the business event happened. So again, events management is very important in trying to, integrate all these things into that whole experience of both business tourism and also leisure tourism. Of course, there are also cause-related and fundraising events, like for example, fundraising concerts. And these fundraising concerts are also inviting a lot of domestic and international tourists. Of course, we have expositions, exhibitions, and fairs. So for example, Comic Cons, trade fairs. So this very important that these events are also managed, so that again the inflow of tourists will be meaningful and will also be controlled, and will be able to maximize the experience while they are there in the given fair or conference. Of course, we have the usual entertainment and leisure events. Like for example, yung mga La Boracay and Labor Union events sa Boracay and La Union respectively. And of course, festivals, cultural festivals, music festivals. These are events that needs to also be managed in order to maximize the amount of tourists that they are able to attract. And then of course, we have government and civic events. Like for example, in this picture, we have the APEC. So there are also very important tourism aspects to this, and also security aspects to this as well, kasi government figures ang pinag-uusapan natin, mga diplomats. So ayun, it's also always important to have really good managers to look into the budget, the manpower, and the resources for these. Hallmark events are events that happen only once in a blue moon. So for example, big concerts, Olympics, although sports events has a specific typology here, but it's also considered as a hallmark event because it happens only very few times in a lifetime. Next, we have of course marketing events, sponsored events, and we also have what we call the MICE, or the meetings, incentive, and convention events. This is a very specific type of tourism MICE, wherein a certain destination is being marketed as a good place for meetings to be held, for conventions to be held. So a good example of a MICE venue is PICC and the CCP here in Manila, because again, that specific tourist destination or the specific tourist attraction is really catered towards, meetings. And of course, we also have like social life cycle events, like for example, yung binyag, no, christening, weddings. So these are examples of events that are related, of course, to the life cycle or the developmental stage of the persons involved. And of course, sports is an example of an event that is also considered as a tourism attraction. But we will learn later when we get into the foundations of sports tourism that, when we talk about sports as an event or as a tourism attraction, it's really quite different from the other events that we have explained earlier. It's a specific type of event that requires a specific type of management and development. And we'll get into these specific details when we get to the sports tourism part of our course. So, in this video, we were able to define what events management is. We were able to explain what events management is for and what is its contribution to tourism in general. And then we were able to one by one characterize the different types of events. And in the next video, we'll talk about intermediaries.